What would it look like if RoboCop and Terminator had a baby? I mean,
Oh
what would
wow.
that?
I don't know if it would have any human, because of course they put synthetic, material, not synthetic, human materials around the exo,
Thingy.
around the.
Terminator,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
saying all kinds of exo. It's all the X is
Hey,
essential.
how are you? The VCR is keyed up. The Strombolis are on their way, but until they get here, come join us by the movie light. I am, as always, and shall ever be, Dr. Crisis, along with.
I am Mr. Dust.
And I am Melmut.
Today, we're going to be talking about movie scores and movie soundtracks, and what they mean to our lives. We're going to have a touching discussion about it, right?
No, I enjoy it.
Or a touchy, who knows?
Oh,
So I think-
tissues.
Yeah.
Tissues.
Wait, what?
We must have tissues with us to wipe our nose for all the cryings
Oh, okay.
and crimes. You need
I
a
was
lot of
just
tissue
gonna
when it
say
comes to
that.
crime.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
So I think we'll start with we're going to do our three favorite soundtracks of all time.
that's awesome.
But it doesn't have to be the best necessarily, just our personal favorites. And we'll talk more in general on how music affects movies, one way or the other. How it's been, and what I mean by that is if how it harms or helps any given film.
Okay.
We'll talk about both, and even a very special case where there was no music in one of the greatest films of all time, which added to it.
Yes.
At least we're pretty sure there was no music. I haven't seen it in a while, but
Yeah.
okay. So we'll start with our number three favorite of all time, and I think I will go with Untouchables.
Wow, that's a great one.
Yeah, it is so rich is the word I would use to describe it. And of course, that's one of those films where the mood was set by a particular score they created. They had particular scores, of course, for particular moods and scenes, which is a common thing to do in movies. But some of them they're kind of cheap. Do you know what I mean they'll have the generic sound to it, like this is the boom 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 sound when they're running around.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? You'll see that a lot in action movies, and I think oddly enough, that's one of the things that the Marvel films had failed at on a large level. Not all of them, of course, but sometimes
I agree.
and some of them you just go, I don't remember what the soundtrack or the score to that was. It doesn't stand out in my head.
Right.
Which that was unacceptable in the '90s. That if you didn't have a score, that someone when they heard it, they knew it was from that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
including the Batman films, right? But in general, name it Mission Impossible. Of course, that comes from the old show, or Independence Day.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah. So that would be mine because it's so rich and so gorgeous and so evocative. Every time you hear the part where they're supposed to be adventure,
Yeah.
there's supposed to be danger and adventure. You're like, yep, go get them, Ness. Yeah. And then of course, that horn,
Ah, for the love.
that horn.
And the way it progressed over the film, because when they first played the sad one you were just talking about with the horn, it was very kind of melancholy. He had a bad day at work, and then by the end of the film, it was memories incarnate and how everything could have been better and violence is hurting us all. It's like then you just wanted to cry. It's like it was so much more powerful. They really hit the notes and they drugged them out by the last time that they played it. It was very different, very big contrast from the first time they played that theme.
Yeah. And that was Morricone, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ennio Morricone.
That shows his expertise as a composer. To
Yes.
change the phrasing and the arrangement, not the arrangement, but the phrasing of everything. Because, like you said, that first time they played it was so kind of, it harkened back to old movies, and stuff like that. Oh, what a rough day there, Schmutz. How you doing? But at the end,
Johnny Schmutz, the very famous old cereal
Serial character actor.
Johnny
Never had one.
Schmutz.
He never had one line. If you remember, he was just referenced a lot. He was in
Yeah.
there and he would turn. That's Johnny Schmutz. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going, Johnny? And he would just give that stare. It was legendary.
The Adventures of Johnny Schmutz. And of course, yeah, he never had any adventures.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating concept. It didn't really,
Epitome of melodrama.
really.
Yes,
Yeah, it had melons in it.
That's right. It did.
Yeah,
and a lot of melatonin.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there was something else we were going to talk about, and I don't remember what that was. I'm sorry. Back to what you were saying.
Oh no, that was just that.
Yeah. So that
Oh.
was your pick
Yeah.
for the
It was.
I think it was.
How about that? Okay, Mr. Dust. What would be your third pick?
For me, right now.
Oh wait, I'm going to interrupt you because I remembered something.
Oh, what?
Goodbye. No.
Good night and good luck. It's
Old school. Thank you. Thank you, Johnny Schmutz.
Rimshot King of the Midwest. Huh?
No, I also it used a piece that was not written for the movie, of course, the opera piece.
Oh, of course, Pagliacci or Pagliacci, as some people say. it.
I don't know how to pronounce
Me
that.
neither. I've
honestly.
heard
Yeah,
both.
Yeah.
I think it's Pinocchio.
I keep telling you, it had
No,
nothing
I
to
keep
do with
telling-
Pinocchio.
Yeah, listen, I keep telling you guys, it's pronounced Pinocchio. No, for them to even for De Palma to also use something that was such a powerful scene.
Yes.
And that's mostly what we want to talk about today. The complement of music and how it can be used as a character and how it can be used to accentuate the emotions of that scene.
Yes.
And for it to actually be being played in the movie, right? He was
Yes.
at the opera listening to it, and to contrast those two things.
And for the scene, if people out there who don't know that they were showing Malone after he, Sean Connery's character after he had been brutally riddled with bullets, that his coughing in the scene actually they let that come through, where they didn't have Pagliacci drowned out what was going on, and his extreme coughing actually went with the drama of the music.
Your music, man. I mean, was that had to have been happenstance? It couldn't have been done on purpose, of course, the way they editing. But that must have been remarkable for you, Melmoth, that those sounds were actually landing in a place that were musical in nature.
They
right?
could have done that on purpose.
Really.
I mean, it could be happenstance, but I don't know. Like in the hands of a certain director, they might want something like that, and you can do that. They can just play it in the scene or have beeps going, where he knows where to put them. You know what I mean? So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, there was this horrifying symphony of death and blood and wonder. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah. So, Mr. Dust, quick.
For me, and it has a lot. It reminds me a lot of what you were just saying about Untouchables, but I think of Jurassic Park, where
Is that your third pick?
that would be the third pick for
You
me.
bastard.
Yeah. That's your first pick.
That
So
was
it's
my
lower
first.
on the
I'll have
it's
to change
lower
it.
on the tone pole for me because
okay.
I'm more advanced than you.
Oh, is that what it
Yeah,
is?
that's what it is. That's what it all means. But the idea that the same thing as all great movies do, we were just talking about with Untouchables, where the different parts of the theme, where there's the scientific experiment of and the adventure when they had the scene where they're flying into the it's so much adventure
Iconic.
to it.
It's iconic.
Iconic, yes. And of course, the very somber. What we were trying to do with this, the beauty of the dinosaurs, the beauty of the science, with the much more calm music, and it's just that they sounded. John Williams, being the brilliant man that he is, they had a very similar sound to them, but one. It really felt like they were related, the two, which some people can do that, where they just, as you said, put generic music in there. It's like, this is the adventure music. It's like,
Right.
they were definitely part of the same piece of music. And it's like, it had so much character and so much bearing on what was going on. I thought it was brilliant. I just love, every time you hear it, you get involved in the adventure, or you get involved in it. Look at the man with his little cane and welcome to Jurassic Park. It's like, it's absolutely gorgeous.
He had actually spoken about specifically that particular part of the score, he wanted it to be a religious experience almost when they saw the dinosaurs. That's what he was going for. He thought about, I think he said he thought about a cathedral, and that you know, the idea of awe and and holy, almost a holy reverence for what you were looking at when he wrote that piece, specifically thinking about the scene where they saw them for the first time. In my personal experience, when I first saw that, when that starts to, again, back to Spielberg's tremendous touch when it came to things like that. The final scene, no one said a word. No one says a word the last 5 minutes of that movie. All right.
Yes.
It's such a brilliant idea to let only looks of incredibly exhausted people that just survive danger have that be the final. I mean, anyone that's ever had a hard day's work, that's how they feel, right? I mean, or anybody that's ever gone through danger, that's how they feel, right? For him to just let all of them be and then kind of lull you into the music that way, no words, right? And then when that helicopter flies off into the sunset, whoo, that's magic, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Dust. Okay, Melmoth, number 3.
So 3, I think would have to be Halloween.
Really?
Yeah, the first one. He set a tone with that soundtrack. Of course, a lot of it was just different kind of takes on the same thing. You know what I mean?
Which can really work
Right.
if you do it right. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did it brilliantly, using that rusty old piano, you know, and along with, you know, the synths and stuff and everything. Yeah, just set such a terrible, cold, you know, tone. I don't know why I said that's so weird.
Because you were chilled by it. You know?
Yeah, tone. Yeah, you had him chasing theme, you know what I mean, which was, you know, Ben, you know,
Yeah.
Ben.
Oh, right.
you
Well,
know.
yeah, not only chasing theme, I saw that as the unstoppable, like
Yeah.
that, because it was always after she thought she killed him, right?
Yeah.
And then here he is again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not always, I guess, but more often that's what it was. Especially the one that comes out when she gets him in the closet, right? She thinks he's dead, and then he sits up, and then the music starts. So it
Yeah.
was sort of like, you know, I think he was trying to, right? And they were trying to capture the idea that he was unstoppable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the undeterred theme. That's what it's called. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
undeterred.
right. That's what I'm gonna start playing that. Just walking down the street from now on.
Yeah.
I'm undeterred in my course.
Please
Give me
just-
my donut.
Give it to me.
Police just slowly following behind you at all times just to see if anything bad will happen.
All right.
Is that all your thoughts on it? What?
Yeah, I just love because then it had the theme of when he went home for the first time. Din din din, bong, 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 bong.
That sounds like the opening to Contra.
Oh, it does.
Oh no, not was it
Yeah.
Contra? Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It went.
It doesn't sound anywhere near as much.
We're going to be free range jazz singing or whatever the hell the jazz musician.
Scatting?
Scatting? No, but
Yeah.
that's not exactly what we're doing. We're pretending to do instruments.
Oh, that's
What is scatting if not that? It's being an
It's
instrument.
not what the hell we do. I'll tell you that much. All right. Can we talk about? So that's our third, right?
Right.
To review. I don't want to.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about movies where the soundtrack might have hurt the movie. Do we have instances like that?
One thing for me is that
Or score.
Yes.
Soundtrack or score.
Um,
Which I don't know if this. I'm sorry. I didn't make this clear. I don't know if that's an official difference. That the score is music written for the movie by a composer
yeah.
without words. You know, all instrumental, and that a soundtrack is songs. Is that the official difference, or are we just is that's convenient for talking about it? You know.
Yeah, because I've wondered the same thing. Like, has there ever been a case Now, when there's a song that's in a movie that's also released on an album,
Right.
which one was first, or does that just depend on the circumstance?
I don't understand the question.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you call it? What's his name? Huey Lewis and a nose.
Oh, was that
Yeah.
written for the movie?
Was it written for the movie,
Yeah.
or did he? Oh, okay. You
I'm
know what I
almost
mean?
positive. it
Like,
would be.
I'm trying to think of other times that's happened where it's like, okay, that song was in that movie, and it came out on an album the same year. You know what I mean? It's like which, it's on their album. You know, flakes make us steak. You know,
I remember that. That's-
It's a classic album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was the Six Doors Over album.
Well, it's like yeah, I think it could be either like you take a song like "Kissed by a Rose."
right.
He did that again for it, but that was a song he already wrote on an album years before, and then it was on the soundtrack album,
Okay.
but it wasn't written for the film. But with the first Batman, Prince wrote all of the songs for the film.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that is a big difference there. I mean, it just depends on whether they wrote it for the movie or they just took one of their songs and it ends up on a soundtrack album. You know,
Okay.
the difference there.
Then, of course, there's the fascinating history of Unchained Melody.
Yes, which I still to this day have not seen Unchained, the movie it was written for.
Yeah, yeah.
It's much more famous for what was it, Dr. Crisis?
What?
What's it more famous for?
Ghost, of course.
absolutely.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't believe the Righteous Brothers. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the Righteous Brothers didn't even do the original for the movie Unchained.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know they did versions of it back in the day before Ghost came out.
Oh, yeah.
the
Of course.
Righteous Brothers.
20 years. 20, maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
20 more before Ghost came out. So, yeah. So, back to the original subject that I think I mentioned, but maybe I didn't.
If it hurt the film.
If it hurt the film, is there ever a time that a movie was not so bad? Okay, so the one that comes to mind is that one of our friends, Rigor Mortis man, has said that the playing the ants go marching one by one or whatever really hurt Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's an example. I didn't
Yes.
think it was that bad. What did you guys think?
I actually liked it. I thought it fit the.
Yeah, I'm with Rigor Mortis on that.
Why do you say?
It would just it made it hokey and splork, you know, like
Yes.
you know, it was just like this is weird. Even as a kid watching it, you know what I mean? Because I was a kid when that came out, you know. I was like, this is just weird. You know, I just sung this yesterday, you know.
I thought it fit the game like atmosphere that the main antagonist, Jeremy Irons, felt about the situation. It was all a big game. He was setting up the pieces. I thought it fit that tone for me.
He was always out there, antagonizing.
Yeah, he loved to antagonize.
He was
you know?
antagonizing.
Oh, he's done it. That was the real.
That was the real one.
Thank you, tiny audience.
Yes, I'm glad.
Okay, all right. So, Mr.
Now
Dust,
it's money
no,
just-
Mr.
just
Dust,
ran
you
out,
have to stop bringing them.
I did, but see, they weren't even cheering to something I said though, so I can't really be blamed for that.
You the one that brought them here in their tiny bus.
But
And on top of that, they have tubas now. You hear this?
yeah, I hear it. But
All right.
the it's a short bus. It's the shortest bus you can possibly get, and they said they needed to get out and have some time around others. You know,
Okay.
so yeah.
So, we can't think of a movie, right, that is really truly harmed by the soundtrack or by the. Can we?
Another one that Rigor Mortis brought up, and over time, I'm not sure how I feel about it now, but I used to agree, was A Few Good Men. I thought that it was just kind of like is someone having a seizure at the piano. It just seemed kind of foolish. It became so much a part of the movie for me. I didn't really mind it that much anymore. But I remember feeling that way when I first saw it. At times, like this music is kind of abrasive, you know, for the film. For me, it just seemed kind of goofy, where it didn't really need that, you know, for me.
That's fascinating because a lot of people felt the same way about the direction. Not goofy, but it was ho hum. It was lackluster. That the script and the acting were the strongest part of that movie. So I don't know if that goes along with it. I think my sources tell me that that Ron Howard. No, what was his name?
Wasn't Ron Howard?
Rob Reiner.
Rob
yes. That he wrote the music for that. Did you know that?
Reiner. Did he?
No.
As he was having a seizure at the piano.
Right. I think that's what it was. And he was like, I'm brilliant.
I went away somewhere and came back with this brilliance. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good. I would have swore you had more that you like.
There was one I was talking about earlier, but I mentioned it I just made an example out of it with Malmut, was the original Batman. When you really watch it, again, it's something that you're like, okay, I come to accept this, but I really don't think I like Prince. I don't think it fit the aesthetic of Gotham City that he was making in that. It's like when they came on, it's like, okay, we're in the 80s again. And no, they're in weird Gotham and hats. Oh, Prince is on. We're in the 80s. I thought that kind of did hurt it. Because especially since Danny Elfman's score for the film was so distinct and beautiful for Batman and the atmosphere and the fucking car. It could have been the theme to the car. That whole Batman didn't even have to be in the movie, and that theme in the car would have been fine for me. But Prince he throws you, and maybe he meant to do that, but for me, it's still a little weird.
Yeah, Elfman continued that brilliance with the second one.
Oh,
I think he stepped it up to a point of absolute perfection in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
because for him to have a different, version of what he was doing for each character.
And all of them heartbreakingly sweet.
Yes.
And of course, the wonderful rest in peace Shirley Walker, who moved that over to the Batman the Animated Series and made that. Yeah. So, okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, let's move on to our number 2. Mine would be The Third Man.
Yes.
So the entire soundtrack is done, or the score. Again, we're trying to figure out what the difference is there. But the entire score is done with a single instrument, the zither.
Yes.
And again, this is where we're getting into the I said again.
2 agains.
2.
Not again.
Yeah. We're getting into the idea of the music being a character in the movie, and that's definitely one of those where the music was a character in the movie, where you felt that it was somehow behind what was going on in some way.
Yeah.
The times they played it was representing some deeper truth. Like one of my favorite scenes is when he comes up in the amusement park.
Yeah.
And you're just watching him walk to Joseph Cotton's character, whose name I can never remember his name, but
Joseph Cotton's character. No, yeah, I can't. remember his name.
Harry Lime, of course.
Oh, of course.
But
Great Orson.
you're watching Harry Lime walk through this almost abandoned amusement park up to the character, and just watching him walk and the music play. Like, here is Harry Lime. Here are all of his schemes. Here is the life he's been living. This is what this music is telling you. Just staggering, amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's mine.
It was so, yeah, to have that be pretty much Harry's theme, even when he wasn't in most of the movie, that his presence was felt throughout the world or at least these people's lives. It's like, then you see it's like, oh, it's been Harry's theme all this time. It's
Right.
fracking brilliant, Yeah.
Who's that? Who's showing up here?
The fracking brilliant. That was.
You sound like from Rain Man. You sound like the girlfriend from Rain Man.
Yeah. She tells me nothing. Yeah.
There's a soundtrack.
Oh,
Rain Man.
Did it fit that film?
It
That-
did.
I loved listening
Sorry.
to it. I didn't understand its place in the film.
Yeah, it did. Talking about themes to people, I think that I don't know if Crisis agrees, but it seemed to be the theme to Rain Man's thoughts, and how, well, I guess I would say the Babbitts thoughts, the thought of the Babbitts. It was really Ballad of the Babbitts, and it fit the way
That
they
is fantastic. From now on, that's what that's called. The Ballad of the Babbitts.
how they didn't think and relate to the world the way other people did, and I felt that theme really accentuated that. And for me, it did. Yeah, because when I was younger, I'm like, wow, I feel kind of transfixed by this theme when I would watch. I'm like, I feel kind of uncomfortable. Then as I got older, I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling kind of Rain Man when I'm listening to this, and I'm staring at something. It's like I think it was done to brilliant effect. Yeah.
Yeah, and it almost gave them a mystical quality, especially him. It gave him a mystical quality.
Yeah.
Like people looking, especially at his abilities, and it gave him a mystical quality. I'm gonna start going into places demanding, like a bar, and demanding that they put the Ballad of the Babbitts on their jukebox. I think this is an outrage.
Reminds me, I used to go into corner stores and stuff and ask if they had Capital Cola, which is not a real
I was thinking this. I was
soda.
going to say the same
Yeah.
exact thing.
I even called a buffet I used to go to, Old Country Buffet. For those who know, I think it closed down forever. Shout out to OCB, as we used to call it, best breakfast any goddamn where.
Trouble in the Tower.
I was just going to say that.
I called them and asked them if they had Capital Cola, and I don't know, I was just being an asshole, but they were like, "Oh no, we'll look into that." And they were, I had the guy at the corner store
Write it down.
write it down, see if he could find it, and it's not a thing. It's just not.
Now you've just ruined it, though.
I have ruined it for
ruined it.
everything because I'm turning over a new leaf.
Well, it's not a thing that we know of.
I looked it up.
Okay.
It's not a damn thing.
All right. But so in Rain Man, this is another example, right? Rain Man had incredible score, but it also had a very specific soundtrack. They played songs to replicate being on the road.
Yes.
They consistently went into all these songs, and you got the sense of what it was to be driving across country with the radio on. So that was actually a brilliant mix of both. Soundtrack and
fully
score.
agree.
Yeah.
Beyond the blue
Now-
horizon lies the rising sun. Beyond the blue horizon. Thank you. Rising waves.
Of course they would clap for you. This is why you bring them.
Yeah. As I said, it's a bus full of Rain Man. Shortest bus you got. They're all just like, you know what I'm saying? They look all excited. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Are we done here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Another one to have done that, right? To have is Forrest Gump. Same thing. And a brilliant score,
Yes.
but use music to represent the passing of time and generations. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
So, okay. Did we do your second one?
No.
Okay. What do you got? Buddy?
I'm going to say this and only this forever. No, I'm done. No, it's
You better leave me the fuck alone.
about it. Son of a bitch. No, it's got to be Princess Bride.
God
Every
bless you.
time it starts, you're instantly happy.
Yeah.
And you're instantly emotional. And you're instantly transported. That single guitar. Na, 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 and you're like, thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't write it. It may have been the best version of it done ever.
They're not coming next time. They're not coming next time.
We'll have to see what happens there. But it's unbelievable. The song of love, the song of adventure, but it was all the same goddamn song. They played that guitar, you're like, yeah, that's everything. You feel everything all at once. Mm-hmm. Everything that they were trying to, it's got true love, escapes, monsters, fairy. It's the whole goddamn deal.
Yeah.
And it's said right away. You're like, oh wait, I just turned on something special. Because when that actually happened, and people think it sounds too made up, but I remember when one of my parents was going somewhere, and I was like, I'm bored, I want to do something. And I was a kid. Like, why don't you watch this movie, Princess Bride? You haven't seen it? I was like, Princess Bride. I was like, this is a girly pink movie of silly proportions from the name, yeah. And once it was put on and that started, I automatically paid attention. I was like 5, It was like
At what part in the movie does it actually play that the first time?
it plays once they go into the story, when he opens up the book and says her name was Buttercup, and they go over the land, and then and you're like, and you're right away transfixed. Yeah. And I don't know if I was 5 because that movie came out in what?
I don't know.
I may have been wrong about that. I was a younger age than I am today. And to this day, every time it starts, okay, I'm settling in for an adventure that I feel like I've never seen. It's stunningly beautiful.
Did Knopfler play all the music himself? I mean, the guitar himself?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Good old Mr. Knopfler.
And whoever
Never
sang at
plays
the
with a
end,
pick.
I forgot about that. It's awesome. And whoever sang at the end, people would say it was weird. But I haven't heard people say that. I always have that. It's like, don't you dislike it? I didn't. And it's like, okay, good.
No, people can dislike what they wish.
Oh, they're allowed to dislike, but not near me. No, I'm only playing.
Partly.
It partly maybe the song. It just again it captured it. It could have whatever lyrics they goddamn felt like. Our love is like a storybook story. It's like, hell yeah, it is. Did you hear the music? And it's unbelievable.
Were you listening to the music? But that also goes
Listening?
into.
We're going back to Rain Man again. I'm sorry. Did you hear that? Were you listening? That's
What's the point? What's the fucking point?
yeah.
How
Babbitt.
dare you?
He said that's not Babbitt.
It's not Babbitt, you liar. But that also goes into the interesting thing about that. I think it happened more than just in the 80s, but of course the 80s were famous for certain things. And one of them was that corny songs at the end that actually hold up because I don't know, I like them, right? So,
Yeah.
so one of the ones that comes to mind is a Lethal Weapon, of course. Right? I know, look, I get it. I get love is like a lethal weapon. It doesn't sound like something.
Become a lethal.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a
God.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Thank you
Damn
so
it.
much. I can't show my appreciation enough.
Anyway, so I still think that fits the movie. I think it enhances the movie, and I actually listen to that and go, yeah, this works. This is good. Of course, another one is First Blood.
Oh God.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. No.
Yeah. No, I
No.
love parts of that. If that guy just didn't go all the way in,
Dan Hill.
Dan Hill.
Yes.
If he just didn't go all the way to survive, if he just didn't go all the way there, because I really like the instrumentation in that song. I love how it flows and everything, and he does a good job at times. But
You know what else he sang, right?
No.
You know what else he sang, right?
No.
Oh God. Sometimes when we touch.
Really?
Oh my God, that was
Dan-
him.
That's
bless
Dan
him.
Hill.
That should have been the theme of First Blood. That would have fixed everything.
Yeah,
Him
yeah,
and
right.
Teasel would have had a much different. Yo, Teasel. Sometimes, and then do the whole when you dub over someone who's obviously not singing.
Yeah.
Look, you want to be a king shit cop, and I just want to tell you this. Sometimes when we touch, and it just is so. It would be
Yeah, that would have been a very different movie.
or him and Troutman. It's over, Johnny. Sometimes when, and that would have been. It could fit into a couple places.
Yeah.
When Galt's falling from the helicopter, Teasel sees it. Sometimes when.
So it's a representation of any tender feeling.
I think it
whatsoever.
is,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Be it through loss or nostalgia, whatever it may be. Sometimes when we touch is, yeah.
Okay. So what was your second one again?
Who are you? It was Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. All right. So is there anything else about that? The corny movie songs?
Well,
from what?
100% fit all day long was Big Trouble in Little China. That song
Oh
is
yeah,
the
that,
shit.
that is that is the best.
Yeah.
That is the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause we got big. I mean, that guy coming in.
We're talking big. No, I'm just kidding.
Down, Bessie. Down, Bessie.
Well, I the only one as a kid that thought that Kurt Russell was doing a deep part.
Yes.
Yes,
You're
I was the only one in the
human
world.
being.
Okay.
I would think so. You were a dumb child. So.
You didn't know me.
You know me, man.
You don't know me. They're turning on me. It's real, man. I'll step on that fucking bus.
Oh, you're.
Oh, there we go. Earn your supper. Earn your fucking supper.
You're one terrible god. You know that.
Hey, I'm only as good as you act. You know what I'm saying? There he is.
All right. Melvin.
What's his name?
Number.
The King of Rimshot? What the fuck was his name?
Oh, that was Gordon Ramstick.
Oh, we mentioned him earlier.
I don't remember.
Serial star for the.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's off in the
guy
heavens now. Yeah, the guy we mentioned earlier. We can't forget our own mentions. This is
It
ugly.
was Schmutz.
Smuts. It was Smuts.
Johnny
Something.
Schmutz.
Johnny Schmutz.
Wasn't it?
It is now. I'll tell you that goddamn much.
No.
All right. All right. Melvin, what was your number two?
Yeah, well, you guys have already mentioned them. My two and
right.
one.
I'm
So,
I
sorry.
figured Forrest Gump was going to be in there. Was that not?
Yeah. Yeah. Number two is Big Trouble in Little China. Right from the get go, that goddamn. There was that eerie music when Egg was talking to the guy, in the beginning.
The lawyer guy?
Yeah. And then after that, what's his name driving around? The music there. Dun 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 dun.
Right,
dun,
right,
dun,
very-
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, very boisterous kind of. Yeah.
And the drums, the '80s, drums and the synths and everything. It was just so fantastic.
Yeah.
And then of course, Lopan's theme.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I found one.
Yeah, it really showed up with him.
Yeah, John Carpenter again.
John fucking
wrote the
Carpenter.
film, directed it, and did the fucking score. Fuck you! Who the fuck are you?
Dr. Crisis? I don't. Why? Why? Why?
Not really sure about that one.
Okay. All right. So that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just perfect for the film, And when they were going through the caves, the how he balanced, he went back and forth between traditional kind of Chinese sounds of music and instruments, and also the '80s phantasmagorical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I would listen to it on the way to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you can listen to him outside the film, you've got something that's a special
It's
beast.
like I was walking to the bus. It was like there was like 2 feet of snow, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, dun 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 dun. I was like, yeah, what's his
Pork
name?
Chop Express,
Yeah,
man.
goddamn right.
Yeah.
There's also movies with you had talked about this with Ice Storm.
Yes.
What do you got?
Where Ang Lee brilliantly, and I think he's done this a few times in his career, where he would pick music for Ice Storm. It had no business being in that movie. The style of instrument, the tone, it offset you to what was going on in the most brilliant possible way to make you feel like no one's comfortable with themselves. They're not comfortable in their own skin. And he played at moments where there's one scene where Kevin Kline's character is in his underwear in his mistress' house doing golf stances while he's waiting for her to like come back from somewhere, and they pull out the window playing his music. You're like, that doesn't belong in here, this music. And it was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And I thought he achieved that with Brokeback Mountain, where he would just play that music. There's a scene where it hits its crescendo, and one of the characters, Michelle Williams' character, is opening the mail. You're like, oh, yeah, life's going on around the mail opening, because it does. It was just fucking brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. You also said this about Lorenzo's Oil, right?
Yeah, which
I don't
was
talk about that.
which George Miller, to his supreme brilliance. I don't know if people know him beyond. I'm not going to just claim that, but beyond Mad Max, he did all 4 Mad Max films. But he's very, very prolific and
I think a
diverse.
lot of- I think
I
people-
hope so.
Yeah, I think a
because,
lot of people know that. Yeah.
He's done a lot of the Happy Feet movies. He did Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah,
he did Lorenzo's Oil.
Didn't he do like Babe 2 as well? Or something?
He did.
Right?
He was involved with the first one, I think, in the screenplay, and then he directed the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what he did with Lorenzo's Oil was take a piece of music that was, of course, not written for the Adagio for strings, and it was very famously used in Elephant Man, and it was used, I think, a lot for human dignity, to show that the suffering and the dignity that comes with suffering. And Miller was like, well, it's associated with that, so I'm going to bring it into this movie and punch you in the throat. Because right at a scene where you think it's going to be about the dignity of pain and getting through pain, it goes to the crescendo of I'm saying crescendo a lot today. I'm trying to impress the bus. When it goes to crescendo of that music, this held note, these strings just playing until they almost going to burst, and you see Lorenzo's hand, who's going through this horrible illness, and then it's like, okay, the he's getting through it with his parents, and he starts screaming in pain, and then the scene ended, and you're like, wait, no, there's no dignity, there's no honor, it's pain, it's horror. It was ridiculous the way he was able to do that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
unbelievable. Teary-eyed every time. I wasn't sure I was going to get through it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Then the what we had talked about earlier, which is there is Failsafe, one of the greatest movies of all time, one of the most tense filled. I mean, you want to watch a movie that is to the brim with tension. Where you really have no idea what's going to happen next, and then what you never expected to happen does, right? If I remember correctly, there's not a note of music in that film. They flash the opening title after he wakes up from a nightmare. And at the very end, there's just this, what sounds like a call for a warning siren almost,
Yes.
or the sound from the phone that you heard after Moscow was obliterated. Just this monotone, horror, high-pitched monotone sound while the enormous letters of failsafe scroll up. I don't remember there being a note of music in the entire film, and I think that was a purposeful decision
Wow.
to show again to something that you were saying. There's no joy here. There's no good to be had.
Yes.
So, and I think it would have ruined the tension. He wanted nothing light to have occurred. He wanted no accent to what was going on. He wanted you to remain tense and in the grip of the story. So
Kept it as human as possible. These human things are going on. Nothing ethereal is happening here. There's no music. There's no score to this.
right. So that's one of the lack of music is also can be an absolutely
Amazing
brilliant decision.
Yeah.
So what did we get to?
We're on 2, I think. We would just finish 2, right?
Did you
Yes.
say 2?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Big Trouble in China was 2. Or de Malmort.
All right. So then I'm on number 1.
You're on number 1.
Well, then I'm going to do what I said I wasn't going to do because it has to be talked about.
Okay.
Please do.
You can't pick this. Huh?
It's got to be Amadeus.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Even though that's cheating, and I was going to say Jurassic Park, but this fucking farter over here. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't hate him as much as I pretend to. Only more. So, what's to be said besides it is? I don't know what to say, honestly. The movie's so important to me, it's very hard for me to even know where to start talking about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But as far as this is concerned, it is a movie that explores what it is to write music or to have music write you to some extent, to be what it means to people that do write it. And it's used to an effect that I don't think's ever been done before or after. There's never been scenes in a film that that were visual, where the visual and the sound were so linked. They were one thing,
Yeah.
right? That I don't think it's ever been done quite like that before.
I agree.
Where the character, because the music I was hearing, the character was also hearing. That's the difference, right? No matter how powerful it is in other movies, the character's not hearing that music. Right? It's very rare unless it's set up in some crazy 90s action movie where, the classic music's playing while he's taking out people with his guns or something. That's always a thing. I don't know if that actually happened. It seems like it did a lot, though. The character was hearing this music. Even so, not just, of course, the operas that were being played, that everyone was sitting around watching these operas, but of course, Mozart and Salieri were hearing the music you were hearing. The characters were hearing this music. And they used that, he used that multiple times throughout it to enhance the story being told. Even to the point where if you understand what the pieces are you're listening to, if you know what they are, it enhances the viewing experience.
Exactly.
If you don't know what Don Giovanni is when you first hear it, you're not going to understand how important it is when they play it at certain scenes.
Yeah. That, knowing Mozart's biography and, when he actually wrote certain things and what they're actually saying in some, like the translations of some of what they're saying, enhances the viewing experience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, endless with that, and the subtle moments you realize that one of my favorites is when, of course, he opens the door to see Salieri for the first time, dressed as this figure in black, and Don Giovanni pounds you in the face. You know that he just heard that, right?
Yeah.
He heard it, and then as soon as he takes the money and he opens the bag and sees how much money's in there, the Requiem starts playing in the movie for the very first time. You know now he's decided to write it, or again, like I said earlier, it's decided to write him. It's he can't stop. And I go back to repeatedly the scene where he can't stop writing it. He gets up, he leaves his wife, he goes through the streets, right? He goes to this little cabin out in the woods, in the snow, and he's screaming, and people around him are singing. He's pounding on the piano for the Magic Flute, what he's writing. And there's this chaotic scene where it's drowning out anything else. And as soon as he leaves the fucking cabin, the Requiem starts playing again. He cannot stop writing it, no matter how much he wants to. It is haunting him, and like he said to his wife, it's killing me, right? And did you know something else Milos Forman did? Do you remember when they first start playing the Requiem? Not the Requiem. I'm sorry. When they first start playing. What is there? I actually don't remember. They're playing it. It's not the point. He shows multiple shots, with seeming randomly before the scene I was just talking about. Seemingly random. They show multiple shots of the streets. They show about 3. I think it's 3 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the same 3 shots that we watch him walking through later, with his coat wide open, drinking. He's killing himself. That is one of the more subtle foreshadowing I've ever seen. He just shows you these 3 random shots. Here's this street, here's this alley, here's another street. He just shows them to you, right? This is right after Salieri made the plan, what his plan was going to be. And he just shows you these 3 shots, and then they go on with the movie. Damned if those aren't the same 3 shots he's walking through later.
When it's killing him. Oh, my God.
It's
ridiculous.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So that's what I mean, the connection, the kind of I hate the word synergy for some reason,
I can understand that.
because it seems like it's made up. It seems like somebody made that up about 10 years ago in a business meeting.
Yeah.
But
That's the name of a sports drink.
yeah, right. So yeah,
I have to say that what you were talking about with the Requiem, it actually did start in the cabin. It overtook him.
oh right, of course, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
So you were saying that once he leaves, but then again, of course, it's all
Right,
that
it
you
comes
actually
up
heard.
just at the last moment, just as
Yes.
she's screaming at that one point, and then it comes up, right? Because yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that the
Yeah, it being
him not being able to escape it is,
Yes.
is the ultimate
Yes.
point. Yeah.
And he was writing the 20th piano concerto
Is that right?
at that scene when Salieri first shows up in the as the Man in Black. First movement. The second movement is at the very end. The I Absolve You.
Oh, nice.
Is that right?
I'm going to pretend it is. No, it is. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really think you can expand on that. That's pretty comprehensive.
Well, thank you,
yeah.
and go to hell.
I'm there.
You just got to.
I'm in your company, so I'm there. You understand?
Is that right?
Yeah, that's how it goes in this world.
So, what's your number one?
None of your business.
What, you thought that was your business?
For me, I've got to go with a movie that I talk about a lot, and it is seen as one of the greatest movies of all time, The Godfather. And not that that wasn't written for the yeah, and I'm not saying that's not good, exactly. Especially the jazzy version. Meatballs are good, and you should have them in your home. And that was the
What the hell is that?
that was the really Italian part of it, where they started to sell frozen meatballs with it, and it was
You're making this
yeah
up.
yeah it never happened.
Okay. But you say it's okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. It was,
You said it was such conviction, lad.
And I know we've talked about things that, of course, that were written for the movie and not written for the movie. But I say that not that one. Although I thought it was. I can't remember when it was actually used in the movie. Because it's usually used for trailers and things. But for the life of me, I can't remember that specific one when it was used in the film, if it was.
Yeah.
Which is odd. I don't know if you can or
What, when that was moved?
yeah. When was that used in the film? If it was,
Was it used when he was in Sicily?
I don't remember. It's weird how many times I've seen that movie and I still
I think it was.
I
used
can't
when
remember
we went to
that one
Tokyo.
because it just seems like a lot of that.
That was the uncut scene, yeah.
The music that was written for the film gets a little overshadowed by that one. But the that was actually written for Godfather, and it fills the silence of things and shows you the beauty. And I'm gonna include the second one in here. You know, it's like the Godfathers, the two Godfathers, what they did with the music in that. The great, amazingly great scene when Michael's walking across a snow-covered yard to go see his mom. And they're just playing music. It's like they're making everything has some kind of significance. Everything Michael does means something. It's all calculated. And then when he's walking through his empty house after he found out his wife had a miscarriage, they just went to him walking through and looking at normal things. And they're playing this music. The beauty of normalcy, of home. And then he got to, and that's more about the movie, obviously, but he got to the room where his wife was sewing, and he didn't go in. He didn't go see her. He was just reveling in the fact of being a husband coming home. And the music always did that. No matter what they were doing, it fit what the characters were doing to the sense of it was truly the theme of what they were feeling and what was happening in their lives. And again, that sounds like, it's any soundtrack. But with Godfather, it just seemed to be resonating from them. You felt like Mike's heart, as corny as it sounds, was playing this music. Vito's mind was playing this music. And not that he could hear it, but you hear as an audience, you're like, this is the theme of this family. This is what's happening in the world. This is the spaces that people don't occupy. It just filled so much room where you felt like, the world is making this music around them. I just think it's so stunningly gorgeous. And I heard someone complain one time when I lent them the Godfather box set that I have. And they were like, I was like, well, you never saw the second one. What did you think? He's like, I really liked it, but I wish they would, like, a scene where Mike's, like, walking or this is happening. I wish they'd just get back to the story, get to the point. It's like, if you can't take time for the slow moments and where that music is telling you what's happening in their heads and in their minds and in their hearts, then you're just not watching it properly, you know? So for me, that theme, that movie, it's too good. And that's not articulate enough, but it's just goodest, you know?
It's the most better.
It's the most betterest that I've known about.
Well, I would say it's the most bestest. I trumped you on that one. I trumped you on that one. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, you know.
You love them now, right?
No, they still can't come
They can't come back?
time. No.
Okay. All right.
Fucking little assholes. All right, Melmoth. What is your number one of all the times? And we have to speak about one. If no one says it, we just have to, and you'll see why. But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I think it's got to be Forrest Gump.
Wow.
You know, everything that soundtrack did, different parts of his life, you know, and what those feelings feel like, because I felt them. I know everyone at this table did, and a lot of people out there listening that have, you know. The running theme, you know. I just can't, you know, believe how perfect it is. Yeah.
Oddly enough, they did not play the theme from Forrest Gump on the previews for it.
No, they did not.
You remember what they played?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it was from Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. That's
Really?
Yeah, that's the theme, because everyone was playing that in the 90s.
Yeah, because of how
Go look
perfect
at it.
that
Yeah,
was.
if you don't know what that is, go look it up, and you'll know it. You'll know what it is. You just won't know it's from that movie. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Randy Edelman. He did a lot of good stuff in the 90s. He did that. He did Dragon. He did.
What you said? I thought you said Dragon the first time. Was it Dragon?
Dragonheart, I'm sorry.
Oh, Dragonheart was one for Forrest Gump.
No, Dragon. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, stop it. Just stop it.
I'm trying to fix your goddamn foul up.
All right, I'm
Don't
sorry.
foul me up.
Foul me up, you British cigarette. Just stop it. So, yeah, there's Dragon, Dragonheart, What's the movie? Oh, Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That was him.
Beautiful music.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's weird. They did that with another big Tom Hanks movie too, where we didn't remember what it was from at the time when they were playing music during the previews for Castaway. Like, this music's freaking beautiful. Completely forgot it was from Braveheart. It was the Braveheart music.
that's
they were playing.
right. Yes.
And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not from. And the music in Castaway was gorgeous
Oh
when
my
they
God,
started playing music. We'll talk about that some other time when we're talking about music and stuff. With the
Talk about it.
yeah. Oh, good.
Okay, so okay, well, but then we're down to at least so that's the thing. So we're gonna have to do this again because we didn't say RoboCop, which is
Yeah,
one
I
of
was
the
gonna
greatest.
say we should have some honorable mentions.
Well, but it's more than honorable mentions, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
not like those don't belong on the list.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Because
saying?
one of the ones I was going to mention was hey,
Is that what it is? Is that what it was?
was The Machinist.
Never saw it.
Yeah, Mr. Dust has, much to his dismay, and everyone
Great-
sees
great
it.
movie,
Yeah,
God.
it's a great film. It's arguably.
That's a new kind of music coming out
yeah.
of the Southlands. Archie-Billy.
Oh wow,
It's
okay.
unlistenable.
That's that. Well, that's if Vikings did folk music. I think that's what.
I think that's what it is, or
I thought
like
it was Vikings
mountain
did
music.
island music.
Oh,
I
is
thought
that
it was
what it
Vikings
was?
did mountain music. Is what I thought.
Oh,
it was.
okay. I think it's all of those, which is why I just
Archie-Billy,
can't
yeah.
understand what the hell is going on.
No, it sounds like a thunderstorm.
So, okay, we're gonna have to come back because RoboCop's too complex. RoboCop, Lord of the Rings, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Beautiful.
Their soundtracks are amazing. So there's so many we didn't get to.
Yes.
Right.
So we'll have to do a sequel. We'll have to do soundtracks the sequel.
Yeah.
This time it's personal, or is it?
And I want to cover when not
Maybe not.
complete soundtracks, but times where music,
Right.
when music was a character, or represented a singular thing in the movie, like Awakenings.
Right.
Encephalitis
yes.
had a theme.
Yes.
Yes.
Jaws.
Jaws.
Right.
Yes.
So we'll get back to that. We'll get
Absolutely.
back to that. But our time is up, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Here by the movie Light.
Oh.
Because it looks like our Strombolis are ready, and it's time to put the movie on. But before we go, we have to recast something. I was thinking about recasting Die Hard. Who would modern day would be a good Gruber and a good Hans?
Yeah, a good Gruber and
A good
Hans.
Gruber, and then to really throw a fucking wrench in there, we're gonna get a good Hans.
Yes.
No, a good
Gerber baby.
the Gerber baby versus Hans Gruber. Who won that fight?
Yes.
Who wins it?
Who
Yeah.
wins it? Who's a
Onesies
onesie?
it. Yes, for the Goober baby.
That's
now Goober
onesie
baby.
for the Goober baby, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. God, they just shut up. So anyone come to mind? Who would you get for a modern day John McClane? Or should we start with Gruber? Who do you want for Gruber?
Gruber. You can't. This might be too. Hey, we're doing it.
I know. Go.
Mark Strong. You gotta have Mark Strong be everybody. Having him be Gruber with his side mouth talking and McClane, it would just be good.
Yeah,
I just need him to be the bad guy.
I know people said he's been overexposed, but I was thinking Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's not a bad choice at all.
No,
not a bad choice at all. He would do the dignity of the character. I'm sure he could do accent, and I think that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
And he famously does an impression of.
Does he
Yeah,
really?
it's a very good one of Alan Rickman. Yeah, very good one.
How about
Yeah.
it'd be better than doing his lame impression of Ricardo Montalban? I'll tell you that much right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
zinger!
Zinger! What do you got for Gruber?
Oh.
What do you got for Gruber?
They sound fantastic. The guys you mentioned. I was thinking the guy.
You can't have them.
I don't remember his fucking name. What the guy's name is? The
In
guy
what?
in Inglourious Bastards, this Nazi criminal.
Oh.
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, but I've just seen him do that kind of thing.
That's his choice.
All right,
It
you're
has
right.
Nothing to do with you.
I failed, and I
That
apologize.
was my first thought, but I like the idea of keeping a lot of the aesthetics. I don't know if Randy Edelman. What's his name? Richard Mull. What is it?
Oh, what are you talking?
Gruber. What's his real name?
Oh, Alan Rickman.
Alan
Rest in
Rickman.
peace.
I don't know if he is a tall man, but they made it seem like he was a tall guy, Gruber, and I want to keep that aesthetic. What's his name? You know, you can't make him tall, right?
Who?
Christopherson.
Oh, Christoph
Right,
Waltz.
right,
Yeah.
right.
He's just a tiny man in heart and spirit.
I love watching him. I think he would offer a great performance. You know, I'm trying to think of someone, you know. But I think I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn is always a good choice for playing
Ooh,
someone.
yes.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, that is good.
I know he's bad guided out all day. That's Krennic from Rogue One.
Oh yeah. He's way too old
Oh,
to play him, but I don't care. We'll do this in the 1995. The guy with the red hair and the beard. What is his name? He had a glass eyeball in that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Charles Dance.
Dance.
Yeah, he's too old to do it now.
I don't care.
He looks pretty good though.
Yeah,
That's what I was
He
gonna
looks pretty
say.
good.
He looks
He
good
looks
for
damn
his
good.
age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then now we got to do McLean. Is there any good
I'm sorry,
McLeans?
I gotta do another. I'm sorry. I know it's many bad people that play bad guys way too many times.
Oh,
but
God.
Mads Mikkelsen is always in consideration playing everything.
Yeah. Am I the only one that thinks that every time I love Mads Mikkelsen, but it always looks like a part of his character is him saying "I'm Mads Mikkelsen," like that's going to be a dialogue of his or a line that he's just going to go and I'm Mads Mikkelsen.
hope
At
so.
the end of every scene, he says that.
He punctuates every scene. And I'm Mads Mikkelsen.
Because it just tells you everything you need to know.
This is
right?
true.
You know?
This is true. I actually like that. I wish it would start happening.
Okay, now we need a McLean. Do we have somebody that we think can? Because of course people are going to say somebody like Chris Pratt, but I'm not. I don't dislike. I like Chris Pratt, but I don't think that works exactly.
No, not exactly. Because I don't want the typical. I'd like to go with the same thing with not the typical action star.
Right, not
Bruce
Miles
Willis,
Teller.
I like that.
Little young, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone like Shia LaBeouf would do this kind of like I'm a cop from out there and what's going
I
on.
like
here.
that
I
one.
think that would work.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Could he? Yeah, no, I really like that
Yeah,
one.
I think that would be good.
You know who'd also be good? We're going back to Gruber. I guess Gruber. You know, the guy that did the thing.
I always
He's a black British man.
Idris Elba.
Yes. He would be a very interesting Gruber, I feel.
He would.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
just going straight British, I realize.
We are. Well, Alan Rickman was British.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
we're
I think
just-
that's what
yeah,
we,
we're just Britishing
German
out.
didn't come into this at all.
Yeah.
No.
All right, we'll have to put off. We'll have to think of McLean. We'll definitely worry about and
You have a you don't have a McLean?
Do you have a good McLean?
No.
Yeah, because we put Miles Teller in everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a good guy
He's
these
great.
days.
I was
Yeah,
trying to think
yeah.
of someone less poopy. No, he's not poopy at all. I love him.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I can't think of it.
It's so sad when you do this. There's got to be somebody, but I can't think of anyone.
Christopher
right now.
Lloyd.
Christopher
I'm telling you right now.
Yep.
Now Christopher Lloyd.
I'd have Christopher Lloyd do anything.
John McClane.
I love
Yeah,
Christopher Lloyd.
yeah.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us by the movie light. We will see you next time.
Okay, so if RoboCop was going, so basically, what is RoboCop's bowel movements like? Does he have them?
Already eats. Right,
Right.
but right, but
Is it everything he needs and none of it gets poo-pooed out?
so
or
robo
pee-pee.
turds. Are we talking about robo turds? Is that action?